Hi everyone, it's Elise from Kit and Clouder, and today I'm going to be sharing with you how I colour grass. So I've just finished doing the sky and clouds in one of my previous tutorials on this crafty sentiments image, and so now I'm just going to be doing the grounding and the grass. So the colours I'm going to be using for that are G21, G94, G99, and I'm going to add in a little bit of YG63. Now when I do grass, I use a flicking motion like this. So you're just holding, it's going to be hard to see. I know some people have commented on my videos that sometimes it's hard to see what I'm doing with the tip of my marker. The reason is to get a really fine flick, I have to hold the marker really close like this. And then I want my tip of my marker to basically be on that vertical. So when I'm doing it like this, I get more control of the marker, and so you can get a really fine stroke. So I just find you get a little bit more control and you can really just be aware of what you're doing with that stroke. And the other thing I like to do as well is I like to turn my image around and flick towards me when I'm doing the grass. Again, it's just about being able to control that stroke a little bit more. And I do like to work quickly and not be too much of a perfectionist on this, as you want it to get that really nice texture, and sometimes when you can get a bit too picky, it starts to look a bit too organised. So the colour that I'm starting with is my G21, and I've also drawn a box around my image as well in a really light pencil, and that's going to be where I cut out the image. So when I start this, I'm going to start flicking outside of the box, so you don't see that hard line of where I put my tip of my marker down on the paper. So I'm holding my nib, holding my pen really close to the nib, and I'm just going to do some really light strokes for the grass. And I'm sort of doing it in a V shape, just for this first ones. And you might find it easier, you can turn it around if you want, just so you can better see the outcome of what you're doing. But I do like to start the strokes outside of that box that we've put around the image. And just vary the size of your strokes as well. And then we're going in and we're adding more just to bring it up. This image has quite a lot of grass, so just get in there and really layer it on. And I'm not really touching, like I'm not drawing a line, I'm really just flicking really quickly and barely touching to the paper. When you get to the skyline and also when you get to the image, I just flick straight over the top, because all of this is sitting behind where your camera is looking, so it's going to have a little bit of grass on it anyway, and it gives it a little bit of depth. And I flick it up over that skyline as well. Flicking a little bit over her feet. This is quite long grass as well. Needs a little bit of a mow. Okay, my next step is I'm getting my G94, and I'm just going to go ahead and flick over the whole thing, starting from the bottom. Now we're starting to get a bit of depth into the grass, because you've got those two colours sort of coming through. I'm not really paying too much attention to shading or anything at the moment. It's getting more that tone of the grass before I go in and darken up any shading from the characters or items in the image. Grabbing my next colour, which is my G99, and I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to add a little bit of YG63, so it's got a bit more yellow in it, just to give it a different tonal value. And again, you can really experiment with whatever colours that you want to use in your grass. It all comes down to personal preference and what you're trying to achieve. So you might want to put in some YG03 if you want it to be brighter, like a brighter fresh cut green grass. My camera actually just ran out of battery and I didn't notice. So I've gone back through and I've gone down through my G94 and my G21 just to cover up a bit of the white. And now I've come through with my G99 along the bottom here and added a few more flicks to darken it up. And now I'm going to go in and add some shadowing from the sun. So I'm going to have my light source coming from the top right, which means we'd have the shadowing on the left hand side. So I'm just going to do some really little, actually it'll be easier, I'll just start with a lighter colour. So I'll start with the G94. Just doing some little controlled flicks around here where there'd be shadowing. Do some around the well as well. Now I'm getting my G99. I'm just going to soften it up a little bit with my G94. And back in with my G21. Alrighty, so you'll notice that the grass is quite thick. So what I like to do is get a white gel pen. Mine's not really the best one, but I like to go in and kind of do some flicks with my gel pen, which will actually break it up. Doing the same sort of controlled motion with the gel pen. And this will help to separate out your blades a little bit. And again, add another dimension of texture. Sorry, my pen isn't working very well. Another thing I like to do as well is add some tiny little flowers to the grass. So basically what I'll do is I'll look for some of the really prominent darker flicks. So for example this one here, and I'm going to get my gel pen and I'm just going to do a few dots in like a triangle type shape. You have to darken it a few times if you've got a bad pen like me, but I'll go over it a couple times till it comes up really nicely. If you've got the opaque white, that'd work really well as well, but I don't have any of that. Or another thing you could do is get a pencil, so we might want some little purple ones, and you can pop in the dots like that. So basically just go through and add them wherever you like. They don't have to be perfect either, it's just another texture. And if you don't have any long blades that you can see where it'll look good, you can add a few in. My phone keeps turning itself off because it's such a hot day over here in Australia. So while it was turned off, I went ahead and put in those little white dots since my pen was playing up anyway. And now what I'll do to finish it off is I grab my darkest color, which is my G99, and I'm just going to extend down those little stems in the places that I've drawn the flowers that didn't have them. So in a few places I just drew the flowers more as like a filler, and just spread them out a little bit more. I'll probably still need to go in and darken up those white flowers a little bit more since that pen wasn't working the best. And just to finish it off, I'll cut my image down so you can see what it looks like without the border anymore. So I'll just cut it down quickly. And you want to take that bottom edge off the picture where you've gone outside the line. And that's it, all finished. And you're ready to start colouring your character. Now the reason that I do the sky and the grass first is just in case I make a mistake. I don't want to spend all that time on colouring the image and then make a mistake in the background and basically ruin the whole thing. And also it does help because if you've already coloured the character, and say I'd coloured her boots in like a bright red, and then I was using a lighter green as the grass, I could pull some of that red into the grass, and then you're mixing up your colours. So I just think it's easier to do the background before you actually do your character. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you've got any questions, please just let me know. Thanks for watching.